let's start at the end of our yoga mat with the feet shoulder width apart and nice and parallel, and we're just going to warm up the spine by taking some roll downs. So from here, just dropping the chin onto the chest, thinking about the shape of the spine, hanging the head, nodding the head, knees are soft, and then rolling back up again. Imagine your spine is like a conveyor belt and you're just moving continually, working through the spine, breathing, flowing through. So I'm going to try not to get stuck in any stretches, and all the way through just focusing on a certain area of the body. So this time I'm going to drop down, let my upper body hang, my knees are soft, and then I'm just going to straighten my legs and soften my knees a couple of times. Make sure that head is really relaxed. You should be able to nod your head, shake your head, and it doesn't matter if your hands are up here. The focus is trying to straighten the legs and stretching the backs of the legs. Being nice and relaxed. The knee bend isn't a big knee bend. We're not trying to take a deep squat. We're just trying to release the stretch on the hamstrings. Ideally, keeping your hands where they were all the way through. And then this time, bending the knees. I'm just going to take my feet out a tiny little bit more, bending the knees and reaching my hands forwards to lengthen the spine. And then maybe a little movement from side to side. So this is quite compressing in the hip joint, but that's good. We want compression in the joints. We also want to be able to take all of the joints through their full range of movement to keep them healthy. And then bringing the hands back underneath the shoulders, straightening the legs, and this time lifting to a flat back. So lifting up, again we're stretching the backs of the legs, but we're thinking about the shape of the spine, relaxing all the way down, softening the knees, rolling up through the spine. Let's do that bit again. In fact, I'm going to bring my legs a little bit closer together. So taking that roll down, soft knees, straightening the legs, leading with the back and the top of the head, lifting up into a nice flat back, relaxing down, softening the knees, rolling up through the spine. One more of those. All the way down, mobilising, lifting the back and relaxing down. Staying down there this time, so legs are bent. I'm going to walk my hands forwards again, but this time I'm going to put my weight onto my hands. I call this a short downward dog, so I'm keeping my legs bent. I'm spreading fingers and thumbs far and wide apart, which is really important. I'm just going to take my shoulders past my fingertips, putting some pressure through the wrists, and then walk my hands back again. So as I do that, I keep my legs bent, I keep my hips high, and my heels come off the floor. I'm not really doing anything with my feet. Might look like I am, but I'm not. And then one more time, walking the hands out, shoulders past your fingertips, and then coming back. So we're warming up, getting some blood flow to those shoulders, all really, really important. Let's go out a little bit further this time. Let's come into the actual plank. So straightening your legs, getting the fronts of your shoulders over your fingertips again. Hips are high, back of the head and neck is lifted, lifting the hips up, walk the hands back, keeping those legs straight if you can, but bending them if you need to. So this is flexibility, mobilising, but it's also great strengthening. Also teaching that coordination and that confidence in your body to hold these positions and to know that you've got the strength there. Let's lift the hips up nice and high and walk the feet forwards a little bit into a downward dog. And actually let's move through the feet. So we are just, I call this padding through the feet. So you could just be quite strong with this, lift one heel and push the other heel down. bending over your toe joints. You could just casually, more casually walk the feet out and then bring them back in together again. And with that movement from one leg to the other, the weight going through the leg, there's an adjustment in the shoulders. There's an adjustment from one side to the other. All really good natural movements. Taking those legs out again. Let's stay with the legs wide and the insteps parallel. Push the chest back now through your arms. So this is a really strong stretch. All at the backs of your legs, in your calves, and then just take your hips over to one leg. It will be much stronger on that leg, and you'll almost forget about the other leg. And then comes through the middle, equally weighted, and then over to one side. Woo, just taking your hips over to one side, that's all we're doing. Just checking my notes, sorry. Bending one leg, okay, missed that one bit there. And let's come back to the centre. Let's just walk the hands back to level with your feet again. And then from here, just bend one knee and then straighten the other leg. Then one knee, straighten the other leg. So if I just turn around here, feet are shoulder width apart and parallel. I call this seesaw hips. Hopefully you can see when I've got two straight legs, my hips are level here. And then when I bend one knee, this is why I call it seesaw hips, one hip ends up much higher than the other hip. So a nice stretch in the groin, quite a subtle stretch, quite a subtle movement. You can also do this with straight legs. In fact, let's do it with straight legs. Much more subtle. And this sort of thing is really good to be able to do this, to be able to have the knowledge in your body to be able to adjust if you are a little bit wonky. So quite often you will find that you'll come into this position with two straight legs and you'll think your hips are level, but you've actually got one hip higher than the other. So someone might say to you, the teacher might say to you, you just need to level up your hips and then you do the movement that we've just done. I actually want you to exaggerate it a little bit more. You might find that one side is tighter than the other. And then let's come back to bending one knee, keeping the other leg straight. From here we're going to take a rotation. So you're going to bend one knee, straighten the other leg. One hand, the bent leg hand is going to be in the middle on the floor. The other arm, the same side as the straight leg. The arm is going to rotate out to the side. You're going to lift up to the ceiling and open up those shoulders. So now the angle of the shoulders is the same as the angle of the hips, and it should feel quite nice. Bring your hands back together, swap the legs over, swap the arms over. If you find yourself going in the opposite direction to your hips, you probably won't go very far and it will feel quite uncomfortable. So straight leg, that arm lifts because that's the side that your shoulders will naturally open up. And this is a really nice rotation around that spine and those hips. Rotation is a very important movement. Okay, let's come back to legs bent and relaxed, and then walk those hands forwards again. There's a little interlude I should have done before the going into the downward dog. So let's just come back to our downward dog. Bring your feet a little bit closer together again, and let's just bring the shoulders forwards over the hands, over the fingertips, and then if you can, alternate bringing one leg forwards and take one leg back, and then forwards and lift the hips, and forwards and lift the hips. So hands are staying where they are. I'm trying to get that foot level with my hands, and this is quite strong. You might only be able to do this sort of thing. That's absolutely fine. Work towards getting that leg out to the side. This is what we're aiming to do. We're trying to get your hips, your hamstring length, your shoulder strength, everything strong so that you can do these movements with ease, so that it makes your everyday movements so much better. Great, okay, we are going to open up the hips, yes, we're going to go again from our plank. So let's have the feet together this time. And a little bit close in. So push back for your downward dog. And then bring your shoulders over your, I'm going to use this closest leg to you actually. Bring your shoulders over your hands. Draw the knee in. And then extend the leg and lift the hip up. Lift the leg up as high as you can. Come forwards, hover, and stretch that leg away and lift up. Forwards and hover, stretch away and lift up. This last time, hold it there. Flex that top foot, drop your head down so it's nice and relaxed between your arms. Open up your hips so that you've got the top hips stacked on top of the underneath hip. And then all you need to do from there is bend that top knee. And it's a really nice rotation and stretch all at the front of your chest. It feels like you're going to twist over a little bit. Bring that leg in, hand down, place it on the knee. Come down to your knee with your knee between your hands. So you're here. And then bring the foot slightly out to the side. And then we're coming into a one-legged pigeon. I'm just going to move my mat a little bit. So as always, if you're working on your yoga mat, this should work quite well. Come towards the top of the yoga mat. Stretch the leg back. So this is a strong stretch here. One-legged pigeon, I'm going to roll over that hip a little bit from side to side. Coming down onto my elbows. Try not to be collapsed on this side. Try and be, as always, square with your hips, your pelvis and your spine facing where you need to be facing rather than twisting. If you're twisting, it's because you're compromising the spine position, which is really important for the alignment of the movement. And breathing. So reaching those arms forwards, let the head go down. Continue just rolling from side to side. So again, this is great for the knee, building the tolerance in your knee, that you can come into that compressed position and it doesn't hurt and it's absolutely fine. From here, if you can, this is quite a strong stretch. We're going to take a one-legged pigeon. If you weren't feeling this one very much, by the way, sorry, I didn't say that, bring that foot more forwards. That's much stronger for me now, and you could, I've seen some people with the leg all the way here, but this is where we're trying to stretch, so think about that. From here, if you can, opposite hand round to foot at the back. That can get a little bit hamstring crampy, so be careful there. And I'm on the end of my thigh. You can't really see it in this position. In fact, if I go more this way, you will be able to see it. Come back a bit. So I was here, taking the stretch. I haven't got this buttock on the floor. I'm lifting it off, bending that back foot, taking the opposite hand round, and I'm on my end of my thigh. I'm not on my kneecap. Could turn around to look over that shoulder. Right, I'm slightly confused now where we were. I think I'm going to carry on facing this way. Stay where you are. We are going to come back to the plank and drawing the knee in and lifting the hips. Yeah. So you could maybe twiddle around to face the same way as me. So the leg that we're going to lift is going to be the one closest to the screen. Okay, so we were in the plank, so feet together at the back, so you've got a nice narrow base there. You're drawing the other knee in, and then you're stretching away, lifting that leg, flexing that foot all the way up to ceiling. So it's a one-legged downward dog. And then you're coming in, make sure you're spreading those fingers and thumbs far apart, lift the leg up. Keep breathing all the way through. This is a strong old movement. All the way up to the top. Now I'm going to lift the hips even more. Stack the hips one on top of the other. Bend that knee. Let the foot drop down. Strong all the way up the front side of my body. I can't show you because I'll fall over if I take my hand away. And then squaring up and then bringing that leg into your downward, one-legged pigeon. So my knees between my hands, making a triangle. I'm bringing that foot away, across out to the side, and then I'm sliding the other leg back. Again, I'm not resting on here. I'm slightly lifted, and I'm rotating a little bit. Not even rotating, it's just, I call this wiggling about. It's getting into the corners, the edges of the stretches. Coming down onto your elbows. Maybe bringing that foot forwards a little bit more, if you can. If you're not really feeling much of the stretch. So the straight leg is directly behind me. It's not out to the side, it's not crossed over, it's directly behind me, because my goal is to keep my pelvis square to my front, which is sort of the end of the yoga mat. Stretching the arms away, breathing, relaxing, continually moving, don't get stuck. If you need a prop, if you need to hang on to something, if you wanted to use that, I can't reach it right now, but if you wanted to put your elbows on there, perfect. Do what you need to do. Just try and always go a little bit more each time. We all have our certain bits which are tighter than others. It's all about getting to know your body. Taking that opposite hand round, that can be a little bit hamstring crampy just as you go into that, so be careful. Shoulders and hips square. Much tighter on this side for me on my hips. What I would like to know is, where does the time go when you're doing these things? Unbelievable. How I ever made 10-minute videos, I don't know. Okay, breathing, breathing, breathing. Oh, wonderful. Brilliant. Let's come on to all fours. So mobilising the spine. Did a little bit at the beginning. Again, we're not only mobilising the spine, we're lubricating the hip joints. We're providing strength and a bit of compression through the wrists, through the hands, through the fingers, the shoulders. Taking that rib cage all the way around. Then let's take circles this way. So the spine pretty much stays in the same position, a fairly neutral position. And this again feels different over the knee, the shin, in the hip, the front of the hips. It's going to feel stronger on those wrists. Go all the way around your wrist. Put the pressure through the palm of the hand. Go through the outside edge of your fingers, all the way across the heel of your palm. Cross your knuckles, changing direction each time. Brilliant. That's while we're here. Just take some movement into those fingertips, circling around. This should make you, I want you to feel like your forearm gets all warm. Warm and almost a little bit uncomfortable. Quite a few of the things we've done so far have stressed your hands, your wrists, your shoulders. People always say to me, oh, I've got really weak wrists, I can't do this sort of thing. Yes, because we don't lubricate enough. This is sending the healing juices to it. Make a strong fist, stretch apart, strong fist, stretch apart. It's also our extremities. We're waking up the nervous system, keeping it all alive and active. Ooh, and that actually feels a bit uncomfortable now. It's got all warm. It's starting to seize up a little bit down there, down the forearms, but that's good. We're going to do the same sort of thing with your toes and your ankles and your knees if you can. And again, just play about with this. If it doesn't work for you at the moment, see if you can just sort of try and build up to these sort of things. So from your all fours position, I'm curling my toes under, walking my hands back, and I'm pushing my weight back into a full deep squat. Now my body doesn't do this, doesn't like this. My heels, my ankles, my calves are tight. That's my area of weakness. I know about it. I'm trying to work on it. It's actually getting better. Some people are naturally get their heels down all the way, but you know, like I say, we all live differently in our bodies. So play about with those feet, bending over with the toes, pushing the weight back onto the heels, dropping from side to side, rotating. So I can put one heel down, the other heel comes up. I'm turning from side to side. I'm going to turn my knee all the way in. I'm rotating the toes and the ankles as well. Sit down on my hip, and then I'm there. And then I'm going to reverse that movement, curl those toes under, come back into my squat. Try the other side. Hands are on the floor, fingers are spread. This is where this strength in the upper body comes to support me. Turning the knee in, dropping down onto the hip the other side. And then reversing. Having maybe taking the weight forwards onto the hands and taking a little jump. So ideally this should be done with the heels down in your deep squat. And that's actually quite unusual for me to be able to do that in bare feet. But because this is my second time through with a mobilising little routine, it's starting to work a little bit better for me. And then maybe turning the corner. I love this stuff. This is just good fun. And just, it gives you the confidence in your body that you can move and do whatever you need to do. And even just, you know, housework, cleaning something, picking up something that's awkward, playing with the kids, playing with the grandchildren, I don't know, picking up the dog poo. It sounds crazy, but when you can do this with stuff with comfort and ease, and it doesn't make you think, oh, I'm going to end up in hospital with that, it brings you joy, basically, because you've got the confidence in your body. That's what's so amazing about it. So all I was doing then as I was rambling on was sort of taking one hand and the other, one foot and then the other. So again, a coordination exercise. And when you're doing this sort of stuff, I just encourage you to play around with it, really. So I've dropped that knee in, I've relaxed my toes, I've gone onto the top of my foot, and then I'm going to roll over that way, and then maybe take a roll away and start to come up the other side. And then a roll away, come up the other side. This could be a nice way to stand. It might be a nice way to just swap over and do something else. I really don't. Doesn't matter. It's just all about having that confidence and moving around. Brilliant. Okay, I've gone on for far too long. Let's take a couple more stretches, just with so more traditional stretches. Toes together, knees really wide, take your hips back on your heels, stretch those arms forwards and just take a slightly mad sway from side to side. And breathe. And as you do this, maybe turn your head so your nose leads the way from side to side. Then go the other way, back of the head leads the way, and turn. This always reminds me of the cat when your cat when it wants its dinner, rubbing up against your leg. Not that I've got a cat, I've got dogs, but maybe from there, taking the spine circles again, but it feels different. It feels more stretchy in certain areas because our arms are outstretched and our hips are back on our heels. Play about with it. I really encourage you to play about with it. Okay, one thing I wanted to finish off with, which again might be available to you if you're not keen on being in the deep squat. Have a little go at this one. Just some bear walks, courtesy of the GMB guys, but lots of the free movement stuff that's out there. Feels really great. It's wonderful for mobilising. So from your downward dog position, stretching one hand forwards and then the opposite leg. So you could start as I am with 2 straight legs and keeping the arms nice and straight. And then when you come backwards, you're taking the foot first, then the opposite hand, stretching. The thing to do is just play about with it. Go really slowly. Take every single part of it as a wonderful stretch, which is what it is. Stretch the hand away. Maybe bend the foot across. Play about with it. Turn your torso. This one's rocking up my mug. Rocking up my rug. That's the one. Maybe that way. That's not done that one before. Maybe bending both arms and legs, and then pushing back both arms and legs. Maybe having a little twist from side to side, so you've got one arm longer, one leg longer, one leg bent. Have a play. It feels, in my opinion, amazing. Going to finish here where I finished the other class. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed. Please feel free to give me some feedback.